Alright, so just for the benefit of the kids at my school who are going to be using this camera, I'm going to run through these settings on here down the bottom one more time. So over the top here we have quality. It's right now set on JPEG Fine Large. Don't touch it because otherwise you'll, number one, either lose resolution or number two, wind up on RAW, which, unless you're me, is not a good place to be because you guys don't have the software to handle RAW files. Down here is white balance. You'll want to change your white balance according to what you're shooting. Here I'm on daylight, fluorescent lights, incandescent lights, automatic, and there's a whole bunch of other ones here. You guys can see my video tutorial on white balance to learn a little more about that. So we go back down to ISO, and you can. This goes from low 1, which is essentially 100. Regular numbers start at 200. And it goes all the way up to 3200 standard, and then 6400 if you really push it. Don't go above 6400. If you guys don't know what ISO is, again, there's another video on my channel that will explain to you how that all works. This is the frame release mode here, and it's now set to rapid shot. So this will take, as long as you have your finger press down on the shutter button, it will continue to take pictures. So, like that. And I think it's I think this camera does 3 frames a second. If not faster, I will double check and get back to you on that. So, that's pretty much for sports. And this the S right here is the one you'll be using most of the time. That's just one click, and you can keep holding that all day, and it's not going to take another one. That's just for general picture taking. To go back down here, oops, turn that on. We can go to our autofocus drive here. Autofocus continuous servo, which will constantly track your subject as long as you keep them within the focus point. We also have single servo autofocus, which will just take the focus once and lock until you lift your finger from the shutter button and recompose it again. And whoops. And we've got autofocus automatic mode, which will swap between single servo and continuous servo. Then if we go down here, we have obviously manual focus. But to use manual focus, you still have to flick the switch here on the side of the lens. If we go down here, we have autofocus area mode. So we click, and we have single point, dynamic area, full range, which will detect with all focus points, and 3D tracking. This is something I haven't yet done a video on. I plan to eventually. Essentially, if you guys, all you really have to do is if you just keep this on single, okay, and you keep this on continuous, and I really can't show you this because it's through the viewfinder. If you keep the, let's see if I can do it. There it is. See the little square in there? If you keep that on the center one, as opposed to moving it all around to the other focus points, it's not working so well. As long as you don't move it around to the other focus points, or you can if you want, just know that to do that, you have to click this button back and forth to whichever one you want. Then if you hit OK, that'll stick it back to the one in the middle. If you keep that in mind, that's all you really have to do. If you want to be kind of creative with it, you can go, if you're doing like a large group shot or something, you can go to autofocus single servo right there, go down here, and put it on big mode. Big mode, yeah, that's smart. Put it on the full focus point sensor. Then you'll be good to go if you've got like a group shot or something, and then it can select multiple focus points at once to make sure your whole group's in focus. But as a general rule, I mean, this is what I do for the most part. I just stick it to single point and AFC, and that's all I really need. If we go down here, we can see our metering options between 3D matrix metering, center weighted metering, and spot metering. Just keep it there. Keep it at 3D matrix. I change metering sometimes, but it's only under very tricky circumstances that I will be shooting, and unless I'm off doing something else, you guys probably won't have to shoot. That will really only come into play. You'll need to change that if your lighting is very strange, and you've got like people wearing black against a black background, and you need to expose them properly. That's when you could kind of go in and change your metering style there. But for the most part, just keep it stuck there to that one, to 3D matrix metering, and you'll be okay. Active delighting, auto, extra high, high, normal, low, and off. Keep it on auto. It's fine. It just helps make sure your photos aren't too dark or too bright. Not really anything to worry about. Bracketing, don't worry about it. That's just something that some people like to use when they're trying to get a proper exposure and they have the time to sit there and play with it. Picture controls. These will control the tones that you have in your picture. So it'd be standard, which is just kind of normal-ish. Pardon me. Neutral, which will kind of flatten the color out a bit. Vivid, which will make them real bright. Monochrome, as you can see, has gone black and white there. Portrait, which kind of just detects like skin face tones and stuff and kind of makes them look nice. Landscape, which kind of, I think landscape boosts up the contrast for landscapes, and that's pretty much it. For the most part, you can keep it on standard. If you want to really make some colors pop, you can switch it there to vivid, but just make sure you change it back. Flash compensation, you probably won't need to worry about. And exposure compensation, again, that's one of those things like metering where I have played with it, but as a general rule, you probably won't have to. Essentially what that'll do is you would set it in here. Right now it's at 0, and if you go plus 0.3, plus 0.7, on up to plus 5, or you can go minus 0.3, minus 0.7, all the way down to minus 5, what that'll do for you is it'll take the camera's metering, and then it'll apply the bias you've put to it. So it'll take the camera's metering, and then from there go down by however, or up by however much you've set on the camera. And then lastly on here is flash mode, which isn't really all that big a deal. Normal, it's got that one's to reduce red eye. Rear curtain sync, that's for artsy stuff, probably not something you really have to worry about. And that's the only 3 options you have on there. So that's just a brief run through of the kind of things that are on this back panel here. And this is the menu you will be using to control all your stuff. And as I've said, a lot of this stuff I have reviewed or explained on different videos on my channel. So if you don't know what one of those does, you can go ahead and look at most of those. And if you don't see one you want to see, let me know and I will be glad to do a video of it for you. As I mentioned at the very beginning, the D5000 has a knob mode here on the top that says Scene. And essentially what this does is if I were to switch it, bring the menu up here, and switch it to Scene, you get a funny little graphic there, and then you get a whole bunch of different pre-programmed modes that the camera can pick up. So let's take a look at what we have in there right now. Okay, so we bring up our menu, and as it says down there, for Scene, roll the wheel. So let's do that. We have, I think that was, it said Blossom. Okay, we have Candlelight, Blossom, Autumn Colors, Food, Silhouette, High Key, which essentially means if something's really bright, Low Key, which is if something's really dark, Night Landscape, Party/Indoors, Beach/Snow, Sunset, Dusk/Dawn, Pet Portrait, and back to Candlelight.